Did you know that its Jurassic coast guards the secret of 185 million years of prehistoric life? That much of its eastern lands lie below sea level, rescued from the waters by pure engineering, and that its iconic white cliffs are actually vertical graveyards of trillions of microscopic beings. England is not just countryside, it is a geological fortress, a stone labyrinth, and living history. Get ready, because today you will discover 50 incredible facts about England that will forever change how you see this indomitable land. 50. The high point of Scafell Pike. Rising majestically within the Lake District National Park, Scafell Pike claims the title of the highest mountain in the country. It reaches an elevation of 978 meters above the level of the sea. This peak is actually part of an extinct volcano, providing a rugged and stony terrain that challenges many enthusiastic hikers. The summit is covered in a massive boulder field, which is the highest altitude example of such a landscape in the region. Each year, over 250,000 people attempt to reach the top, often as part of a famous challenge involving the 3 highest peaks of the island. The view from the top is truly breathtaking on a clear day. 49. The depths of Holme Fen. While some look to the sky, others must look down to find the lowest point in the nation. Holme Fen in Cambridgeshire sits at approximately 2.75 meters below the level of the sea. This area was once home to a massive body of water known as Whittlesey Mere, which was the largest lake in the south before it was drained in the middle of the 19th century. Today it is a beautiful nature reserve famous for its silver birch woodlands and the famous Holme Post. This iron post was driven into the ground to measure how much the peat soil sank after the water was removed. It is a stark reminder of the changing landscape. 48. The length of the River Thames. The River Thames is perhaps the most famous waterway in the world, stretching 215 miles from its source to the sea. It begins as a humble spring at Thames Head in Gloucestershire and flows through the heart of the capital city before reaching the North Sea. Along its journey, the river passes through 9 different counties and is crossed by over 200 bridges. Interestingly, the river is tidal for a significant portion of its length, with the tide reaching all the way to Teddington Lock. This means the water level rises and falls twice every day, a phenomenon that has shaped the history and geography of the entire region. 47. The expanses of Lake Windermere. In the heart of the Cumbrian Mountains lies Lake Windermere, which holds the record for being the largest natural lake in the country. It covers an area of approximately 14.8 square kilometers and stretches for more than 10 miles from north to south. The lake was formed by glacial retreat over 13,000 years ago, leaving behind a deep basin that reaches depths of 64 meters in certain sections. There are 18 distinct islands scattered across its waters, with Belle Isle being the largest and the only one to have been inhabited. It serves as a vital habitat for various fish species and remains a central hub for water-based recreation and regional tourism. 46. The ancient Anglo-Scottish border. The border separating England from Scotland is a line of great historical and geographical significance, stretching for 96 miles. It runs from Marshall Meadows Bay on the east coast to the Solway Firth in the west. This boundary was largely established in the year 1237 by the Treaty of York. For centuries, this region was a lawless territory known as the Debatable Lands, where local clans frequently raided across the line. Today, the border follows natural features like the River Tweed and the Cheviot Hills. It marks the division between 2 distinct legal systems and serves as a physical reminder of the long and complex shared history between the 2 neighboring nations. Before continuing, don't forget to subscribe and like to keep exploring the strange and incredible geography of our entire country. 45. The mystery of the coastline. Measuring the coastline of the nation is surprisingly difficult due to a mathematical concept known as the coastline paradox. If one were to measure every tiny cove and inlet, the length would seem almost infinite, but a general approximation suggests it is around 2,700 miles long. This jagged edge is shaped by the relentless power of the Atlantic Ocean and the North Sea, which constantly erode the rocks and deposit sand. From the granite cliffs of Cornwall to the flat marshes of East Anglia, the perimeter is incredibly diverse. Some sections are retreating by several meters every year, while others are growing as the sea recedes or as people reclaim land from the tide. 44. The isolation of the Isle of Wight. Sitting off the southern coast, the Isle of Wight is the largest and most populous island of the country that is not part of the mainland. It is separated from the shore by a deep strait known as the Solent, which varies in width from 1 to 5 miles. The island is roughly diamond-shaped and covers about 147 square miles. Geologically, it is famous for its chalk ridge that runs from east to west, ending in the iconic jagged rocks known as the Needles. Because of its unique position, the island enjoys more hours of sunshine than most of the mainland, making it a distinct geographical and climatic pocket of the South. 43. The Granite Heights of Dartmoor. In the southwest, the wild landscape of Dartmoor National Park covers an area of 368 square miles. The most striking geographical features here are the tors, which are large outcrops of granite that sit atop the hills. There are over 160 of these rocky formations, created by millions of years of erosion on the underlying volcanic rock. The moorland itself is a vast plateau of peat and heather, home to the highest points in the region, such as High Will Hayes. The soil is naturally acidic and poor for farming, which is why the area has remained largely undeveloped and wild, preserving a landscape that feels ancient and entirely untouched by time. 42. The line of the prime meridian. The world literally revolves around a line that passes through Greenwich in London. The prime meridian represents 0 degrees longitude and serves as the reference point for every time zone on the planet. This line was officially adopted as the international standard in the year 1884. While the meridian passes through 8 different countries across the globe, Greenwich remains its spiritual and historical home. Visitors can stand with one foot in the Eastern Hemisphere and the other in the Western Hemisphere at the Royal Observatory. This geographical marker has influenced global navigation and cartography for over a century, making this specific patch of ground one of the most significant locations in the world. 41. The extreme east to west. If one were to travel from the furthest western point to the furthest eastern point of the mainland, they would journey from Land's End to Lowestoft Ness. Land's End in Cornwall is famous for its dramatic granite cliffs, while Lowestoft Ness in Suffolk is the most easterly point. The distance between these two extremes is approximately 420 miles as the crow flies, or nearly 600 miles by road. This journey highlights the incredible variety of the landscape, moving from the rugged, rocky shores of the Atlantic to the low-lying sandy dunes of the North Sea coast. It is a popular route for travelers seeking to cross the entire width of the nation. 40. The erosion of the Seven Sisters. The Seven Sisters are a series of stunning chalk sea cliffs located on the coast of East Sussex. These cliffs are part of the South Downs and are famous for their brilliant white color, which is maintained by the constant erosion of the sea. Because the waves regularly crash against the base, the soft chalk falls away, preventing the growth of vegetation and keeping the face clean. There are actually 8 peaks now as the sea continues to reshape the land over time. These cliffs are often used as a stand-in for the White Cliffs of Dover in films because they are entirely free from modern buildings and provide a perfectly pristine example of the coastal geology. 39. The backbone of the Pennines. The Pennines are a range of hills and mountains often referred to as the backbone of the country. They stretch for approximately 250 miles, starting from the Peak District in the south and reaching up toward the border with Scotland. Geologically, they are composed primarily of Carboniferous limestone and millstone grit. This range forms a natural watershed dividing the land into eastern and western halves. Rain falling on the western slopes flows into the Irish Sea, while water on the eastern side makes its way to the North Sea. The highest point in the chain is Cross Fell, which stands at 893 meters, dominating the rugged northern landscape. 38. The scale of North Yorkshire. When it comes to size, North Yorkshire is the undisputed champion among the counties, covering a vast area of over 3,300 square miles. This massive region encompasses 2 entire national parks, including the North York Moors and a large portion of the Yorkshire Dales. Its geography is incredibly varied, ranging from the high limestone pavements of the Dales to the dramatic fossil-rich cliffs of the Heritage Coast. Because of its sheer scale, the county contains a wide array of ecosystems and landscapes, making it a microcosm of the natural beauty found across the Northern Territories. It remains a primarily rural area where the terrain dictates the lifestyle and culture of its inhabitants. 37. The compactness of Rutland. On the opposite end of the spectrum from North Yorkshire is the tiny county of Rutland, covering only 147 square miles. It is the smallest historic county in the land. Despite its diminutive size, it possesses a very unique geographical feature in the form of Rutland water. This is one of the largest man-made reservoirs in Europe by surface area, and it practically bisects the county. The land is characterized by gentle rolling hills and fertile soil, which has supported agriculture for centuries. The motto of the county is Multum in Parvo, which translates to much in little, perfectly describing how so much character and beauty can be packed into such a small area. 36. The wonder of Gaping Gill Deep. Beneath the surface of the Yorkshire Dales lies Gaping Gill, one of the most impressive natural caverns in the world. It features a massive underground chamber that is large enough to fit an entire cathedral inside. What makes it geographically spectacular is the Fellbeck stream, which falls over the lip of the entrance and drops 322 feet to the floor of the cave. This is the highest unbroken waterfall in the country, though it happens entirely out of sight from the surface world. The cavern is part of a complex system of passages that stretch for miles, carved out of the limestone over countless millennia by the action of slightly acidic rainwater. 35. The magic of Holy Island Lindisfarne. Commonly known as Holy Island, is a unique tidal island located off the coast of Northumberland. What makes its geography so fascinating is the paved causeway that connects it to the mainland. Twice every single day, the rising tide of the North Sea completely submerges this road, cutting the island off from the rest of the world. Travelers must carefully consult tide tables to ensure they do not become stranded by the encroaching water. The island covers about 1,000 acres and is a mixture of sandy dunes, salt marshes, and rocky outcrops. This shifting landscape has created a sanctuary for rare birds and plants, isolated by the rhythmic movements of the ocean tides. 34. The Peak District National Park. In 1951, the Peak District became the very first area to be designated as a national park. It covers 555 square miles in the heart of the country, touching 5 different counties. The geography is famously split into 2 distinct areas known as the Dark Peak and the White Peak. The Dark Peak consists of high, peat-covered moorland and gritstone edges, while the White Peak is characterized by deep limestone valleys and green rolling hills. This contrast is due to the underlying geology, with the older limestone being exposed in the south and the younger gritstone capping the hills in the north, creating a dramatic and varied upland landscape. 33. The origins of the Norfolk Broads. The Norfolk Broads are a network of navigable rivers and lakes in the east, but their origin is not entirely natural. For many years, people believed these lakes were just features of the landscape, but research in the middle of the 20th century proved they are actually flooded peat workings. During the medieval period, locals dug out massive amounts of peat to use as fuel. Over time, as sea levels rose, these deep pits flooded, creating over 125 miles of waterways. Today, the area is a protected national park and a vital wetland habitat. It is one of the few places where the geography has been so significantly and beautifully altered by human industry. 32. The power of the Severn Bore. One of the most spectacular natural phenomena occurs on the River Severn, known as the Severn Bore. This is a massive tidal wave that travels upstream against the current of the river. It is caused by the rising tide from the Atlantic Ocean being funneled into the narrowing Severn estuary. The water is squeezed into a smaller space, forcing it to form a wave that can reach up to 2 meters in height. This wave can travel as far as 25 miles inland, moving at speeds of up to 13 miles per hour. It is a rare geographical event that attracts surfers and spectators from all over the world to witness the power of the tide. 31. The Granite Sanctuary of Lundy. Lundy is a small granite island sitting in the Bristol Channel, about 12 miles off the coast of Devon. It is only 3 miles long and half a mile wide, but its geography is incredibly dramatic. The western side of the island faces the full force of the Atlantic Ocean, resulting in sheer cliffs that rise over 400 feet straight out of the sea. In contrast, the eastern side is much more sheltered and features sloping hills and quiet coves. Lundy is famous for being the first marine conservation zone zone in the nation, thanks to the incredibly clear waters and diverse sea life that thrive around its rocky shores, isolated from the noise of the mainland. 30. The Thunder of High Force Waterfall. The majestic High Force Waterfall is located within the North Pennines area of outstanding natural beauty in County Durham. It is one of the most impressive natural landmarks in the country, featuring a sheer drop of 21 meters into a dark, swirling plunge pool below. The geological foundation of this site is the famous Wind Sill, a massive intrusion of igneous rock that was formed over 295 million years ago. As the River Tees flows over this hard dolerite rock, it wears away the softer limestone and sandstone beneath, creating the dramatic vertical fall. The surrounding woodlands provide a lush backdrop to this powerful display of geological forces and hydraulic action. 29. The sunken world of the Fens. The Fens, also known as the Fenlands, constitute a naturally marshy region in the east, covering nearly 1,500 square miles. This unique landscape was once a vast wetland of peat and silt, but it was extensively drained during the 17th century to create some of the most fertile agricultural land in the world. Much of the region now sits below the level of the sea, requiring a complex system of drainage channels and pumping stations to keep the soil dry. The horizon is famously flat, allowing for incredible views of the massive sky, often referred to as the Big Sky Country. It remains a vital area for large-scale farming and unique biodiversity. 28. The Depths of Cheddar Gorge. Located in the Mendip Hills of Somerset, Cheddar Gorge is the largest and deepest gorge in the country. This spectacular natural feature was formed by meltwater floods during the various periglacial periods over the last 1.2 million years. The gorge reaches a maximum depth of 137 meters and features near vertical limestone cliffs that provide a sanctuary for rare flora and fauna. Below the surface, the limestone is riddled with complex cave systems, including the famous Guff's Cave, where the oldest complete human skeleton in the territory was discovered. The sheer scale of the limestone towers creates a microclimate that supports specialized plant species found nowhere else. 27. The vastness of Salisbury Plain. Salisbury Plain is a massive chalk plateau in the central south, covering approximately 300 square miles. It is the largest remaining area of calcareous grassland in northwestern Europe, providing a unique habitat for many endangered bird and insect species. Geologically, the plain is composed of thick layers of chalk that were deposited during the Cretaceous period, when the area was submerged under a shallow sea. Today, much of the plain is used as a military training area, which has unintentionally preserved its ancient landscape from modern agricultural development. This isolation has kept the geography remarkably pristine, maintaining the rolling hills and dry valleys that have existed for several millennia. 26. The ancient history of the Jurassic Coast. The Jurassic Coast is a 95-mile stretch of shoreline that spans from Exmouth in East Devon to Old Harry Rocks in Dorset. It is the only natural World Heritage Site in the country, recognized for its exceptional geological importance. The cliffs here represent a near-continuous sequence of rock formations from the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods, covering about 185 million years of Earth's history. Walking along the beach, one can see the layers of sediment that reveal the transition from desert landscapes to tropical seas. Constant erosion by the waves frequently reveals new fossils, making this coastline a globally significant location for paleontological research and coastal geomorphology. 25. The Ties of the Isle of Portland. The Isle of Portland is a limestone tied island situated in the English Channel, connected to the mainland by the extraordinary Chesil Beach. This beach is a massive bank of pebbles that stretches for 18 miles, acting as a natural barrier between the sea and the Fleet Lagoon. Portland itself is composed of high-quality oolitic limestone, which has been quarried for centuries to build famous landmarks, including St. Paul's Cathedral. The island rises steeply from the water, with its highest point reaching 151 meters above the waves. Its exposed position makes it a significant maritime landmark, famously marked by the red and white lighthouse at Portland Bill. 24. The Subtropical Isles of Scilly. The Isles of Scilly are an archipelago of over 140 islands located 28 miles off the southwestern tip of Cornwall. Only 5 of these islands are inhabited, and their geography is defined by their granite foundations and the warming influence of the North Atlantic Drift. This current ensures that the islands rarely experience frost or snow, allowing for a unique ecosystem where subtropical plants can thrive. The landscape is a mixture of white sandy beaches, crystal clear turquoise waters, and rugged granite outcrops hilltops known as cairns. Much of the land is low-lying, making the islands particularly vulnerable to rising sea levels and the power of Atlantic winter storms. 23. The loneliness of the Wrekin. Standing prominently above the Shropshire Plain, the Wrekin is a well-known landmark that rises to an elevation of 407 meters. Although it is often mistaken for a volcano because of its distinct conical shape, it is actually composed of ancient volcanic rocks that are over 560 million years old. These rocks are among the oldest in the country, predating the formation of most of the surrounding landscape. The hill offers a commanding view of the Severn Valley and is surrounded by a dense woodland that covers its steep slopes. Geographically, it serves as a massive outcrop of hard Precambrian rock amidst the softer Triassic sandstones. 22. The pavements of Malham Cove. Malham Cove in North Yorkshire is a spectacular curved limestone cliff that stands 80 meters high. It was formed by a massive waterfall created by meltwater from retreating glaciers at the end of the last ice age. At the top of the cliff lies an extensive limestone pavement, a unique geographical feature where the rock has been eroded into a series of blocks known as clints and deep fissures known as grikes. This surface looks like a giant natural chessboard and is one of the best examples of karst scenery in Europe. The cove is part of a complex drainage system where water disappears underground through sinkholes and reappears miles away. 21. The sands of Morecambe Bay. Morecambe Bay is the largest intertidal area of sand and mudflats in the nation, covering over 310 square kilometers. Situated in the northwest, the bay is famous for its fast-moving tides and treacherous quicksands, which have historically made crossing it a dangerous endeavor. Geologically, the bay is a large estuary where 4 major rivers meet the Irish Sea. During low tide, vast expanses of sand are exposed, creating a vital feeding ground for hundreds of thousands of wading birds. The shifting nature of the channels means that the geography of the bay changes daily, making it one of the most dynamic and unpredictable coastal environments in the entire region. 20. The walls of Flamborough Head. Flamborough Head is a dramatic 8-mile-long chalk headland on the Yorkshire coast. It is notable for its sheer white cliffs that rise up to 122 meters above the North Sea. These cliffs are composed of hard chalk that was formed during the Cretaceous period and are significantly more resistant to erosion than the softer clays found further south. This resistance has created a series of impressive sea caves, stacks, and arches, such as the famous Selwick's Bay. The headland acts as a natural barrier, protecting the coastline to the south, and is a vital nesting site for one of the largest colonies of seabirds in the country. 19. The levels of Romney Marsh. Romney Marsh is a sparsely populated wetland area in the counties of Kent and East Sussex, covering about 100 square miles. Historically, this area was a vast tidal lagoon, but through a combination of natural siltation and human intervention beginning in the Roman era, it was gradually drained. Today, the marsh sits very close to sea level and is protected by a massive seawall at Dymchurch. The geography is characterized by a labyrinth of drainage ditches, known locally as sewers, and rich alluvial soil that supports a unique breed of sheep. It is a quiet, ethereal landscape where the sky seems to dominate the low-lying, reclaimed pasture lands. 18. The Oaks of Sherwood Forest. Sherwood Forest in Nottinghamshire is an ancient royal hunting ground that covers over 1,000 acres. While it is smaller today than in the past, it remains a significant geographical feature due to its unique ecosystem of lowland heath and ancient oak woodland. The forest sits on a layer of sandstone known as the Sherwood Sandstone Group, which creates a well-drained soil perfect for the growth of massive trees. The most famous resident is the major oak, which is estimated to be between 800 and 1,000 years old. The geography of the forest provides a mix of dense canopy and open glades, supporting a vast array of ancient woodland wildlife. 17. The Crags of Hadrian's Wall. The landscape of Hadrian's Wall in Northumberland is defined by the Wind Sill, the same igneous intrusion that creates high force. In this region, the dolerite rock forms a series of north-facing escarpments and dramatic crags that rise sharply from the surrounding terrain. The Roman engineers took full advantage of these natural geographical features, building the wall along the very edge of the cliffs to provide a massive height advantage. At spots like Steel Rig and Sycamore Gap, the wall hugs the undulating contours of the rock, creating a striking visual harmony between human construction and natural geology. This rugged corridor offers some of the most spectacular upland views in the nation. 16. The Wilds of the New Forest. The New Forest in Hampshire was established as a royal forest by William the Conqueror in the year 1079. It covers an area of 219 square miles and is a unique mosaic of ancient woodland, open heathland, and acid bogs. Geologically, the area is composed of young sedimentary rocks, including sands and clays, which create the varied soil types that support its diverse habitats. Unlike many other forests, much of the New Forest is open common land where ponies, cattle, and donkeys roam freely. This grazing has shaped the geography for centuries, maintaining the open vistas and preventing the woodland from becoming a single, dense canopy of trees. 15. The basalt of the Farne Islands. The Farne Islands are a group of between 15 and 28 islands, depending on the tide, located off the coast of Northumberland. Like the Windsill, these islands are composed of hard dolerite rock, which has resisted the erosive power of the sea far better than the mainland coast. The islands feature dramatic vertical cliffs on their landward sides, providing perfect nesting sites for thousands of puffins, terns, and guillemots. The surrounding waters are shallow and rocky, making them a treacherous area for shipping, but an ideal habitat for a large colony of Atlantic gray seals. These islands represent the easternmost extent of the igneous rock formations that define northern geography. 14. The Vistas of Box Hill. Box Hill is a significant summit of the North Downs in Surrey, rising to an elevation of 224 meters. It takes its name from the ancient box woodland that covers its steep southern slopes, which is one of the oldest in the country. The hill is part of a large chalk ridge that stretches across the southeast, and it features a dramatic cliff known as the Whites, where the chalk face is exposed. From the summit, one can see across the Weald toward the South Downs, providing a clear illustration of the folding and erosion that shaped the geography of the southeastern region over millions of years. 13. The Granite of St. Michael's Mount. St. Michael's Mount is a rocky tidal island in Mounts Bay, Cornwall, connected to the mainland town of Marazion by a man-made causeway. This causeway is only passable between mid-tide and low water, making the island's geography entirely dependent on the lunar cycle. The mount is composed of a granite intrusion that pushed through the surrounding Killis slate about 280 million years ago. This hard rock has survived while the softer slate around it was eroded by the sea. The island rises to a height of 61 meters, topped by a medieval castle and church, creating one of the most iconic and geographically unique silhouettes in the entire Southwest. 12. The Shadows of Epping Forest. Epping Forest is an ancient woodland that straddles the border between Greater London and Essex, covering approximately 6,000 acres. It is a former royal forest that was saved from development by the Epping Forest Act of 1878, which designated it as an open space for public enjoyment. Geologically, the forest sits on a ridge of London clay topped with gravel, which has influenced the types of trees that grow there, predominantly hornbeam, beech, and oak. Many of the trees were historically pollarded, a practice of cutting branches above head height, which has created a unique forest structure of gnarled, multi-stemmed trees that feel truly ancient and wild. 11. The Karst of the Mendip Hills. The Mendip Hills in Somerset are a ridge of Carboniferous limestone that stretches from Frome in the east to Weston-super-Mare in the west. This area is a classic example of karst geography, where the soluble nature of the limestone has led to the creation of extensive cave systems and dry valleys. Rainwater is slightly acidic and dissolves the rock as it trickles through cracks, forming spectacular features like Wookey Hole and the caves of Cheddar. On the surface, the hills are characterized by plateaus of thin soil and limestone grasslands. The highest point is Black Down, which rises to 325 meters, offering views over the Bristol Channel and the levels. Don't forget to subscribe and like to keep learning amazing facts about each province of our beautiful country. 10. The iconic White Cliffs of Dover. These world-famous cliffs are composed of pure white chalk with streaks of black flint. They stand up to 110 meters tall and stretch for 8 miles along the Kentish coastline. Geologically, the chalk was formed during the late Cretaceous period from the skeletal remains of trillions of microscopic algae. This soft stone is remarkably porous, allowing water to pass through rather than run off the surface. Because the cliffs are made of such soft material, they erode at a rate of approximately 1 centimeter every year. This constant crumbling keeps the face looking brilliant white, as fresh chalk is always being exposed to the salty air of the English Channel, creating a truly magnificent sight. 9. The rolling heights of the Chilterns. The Chiltern Hills form a chalk escarpment in the southeast, stretching from the River Thames in Oxfordshire to the county of Hertfordshire. This area of outstanding natural beauty is characterized by steep slopes and deep, dry valleys that were carved by periglacial processes during the last ice age. One of the most unique geographical features of this range is its extensive beech woodland, which is often called the most beautiful in the country. The soil is thin and alkaline, supporting a specific variety of wildflowers and butterflies. Reaching heights of over 260 meters at Coombe Hill, the range provides a natural green barrier that separates the London Basin from the flatter vales. 8. The vast silt of the Wash. The Wash is the largest square-shaped bay and estuary on the eastern coast, where the counties of Lincolnshire and Norfolk meet. It is a massive indentation into the coastline where 4 major rivers, including the Witham and the Welland, empty their waters into the North Sea. The geography here is dominated by vast salt marshes and mudflats that are constantly reshaped by the powerful North Sea tides. At low tide, the water recedes to reveal over 60,000 hectares of sand and silt, which serve as a critical habitat for gray seals and hundreds of thousands of migratory birds. This shifting maritime environment is one of the most productive and dynamic ecosystems in the entire territory. 7. The granite wilderness of Bodmin Moor. Located in the heart of Cornwall, Bodmin Moor is a remote and rugged upland covering approximately 208 square kilometers. Similar to Dartmoor, its geography is defined by a massive granite pluton that pushed through the surface during the Variscan orogeny. The moor is dotted with dramatic rock outcrops known as tors, with Brown Willie being the highest point at 420 meters. The landscape is characterized by open heathland and acidic peat bogs, which have remained largely uncultivated for thousands of years. This high rainfall area serves as a vital catchment for several major rivers and contains numerous prehistoric stone circles that blend seamlessly into the naturally rocky and windswept terrain. 6. The flow of the River Avon. The River Avon, often called the Warwickshire Avon to distinguish it from others, flows for 96 miles through the heart of the Midlands. It begins its journey in Northamptonshire and winds through scenic valleys before joining the River Severn at Tewkesbury. The river is a classic example of a meandering waterway, creating wide floodplains that have historically provided exceptionally fertile land for fruit growing and market gardening. Geologically, the river has carved a path through soft clay and limestone, creating a gentle landscape that has come to symbolize the quintessential English countryside. Its slow current and navigable sections have made it a vital geographic artery for both local transport and leisure for several centuries. 5. The ancient peaks of the Malvern Hills. The Malvern Hills are a narrow, 9-mile-long ridge that rises sharply from the surrounding Severn Valley in the west. These hills are geographically distinct because they are composed of some of the oldest igneous and metamorphic rocks in the country, dating back over 600 million years to the Precambrian era. This hard volcanic foundation allows the ridge to maintain its dramatic, jagged profile against the softer sedimentary plains below. The hills are famous for their natural springs, where rainwater filters through the ancient rock to emerge as exceptionally pure water. With the highest point at Worcestershire Beacon, the ridge offers a panoramic view that can encompass as many as 15 different counties on a clear day. 4. The Heather Moors of North York. The North York Moors consist of a high upland plateau in the northeast, covering 554 square miles. This region is famous for having one of the largest expanses of heather moorland in the world, which turns a vibrant purple in the late summer. Geologically, the area is dominated by Jurassic sandstone and limestone, which creates a series of steep-sided valleys known as dales that cut through the high plateau. The coastline of the moors features some of the highest sea cliffs in the country, such as Bolby Cliff, which stands at 203 meters. This varied geography creates a stark contrast between the wild, open heights and the sheltered, wooded valleys below. 3. The massive tides of the Bristol Channel. The Bristol Channel is a major inlet that separates the southwest from South Wales, opening into the Atlantic Ocean. It is geographically famous for having the second highest tidal range in the entire world, surpassed only by the Bay of Fundy in Canada. At certain times of the year, the difference between high and low tide can reach as much as 15 meters. This incredible movement of water creates powerful currents and has carved out a unique landscape of rocky shores and expansive mudflats. The funnel shape of the channel accelerates the incoming tide, pushing it into the mouth of the River Severn. This dramatic rise and fall of the sea dictates the lives of all coastal inhabitants. 2. The estuary of the River Humber. The Humber is a large tidal estuary on the east coast, formed by the meeting of the River Ouse and the River Trent. It is one of the most significant geographical features in the north, stretching for 40 miles before opening into the North Sea. The estuary is exceptionally wide, reaching 5 miles at its broadest point near the coast. Because it drains 1/5 of the total land area of the nation, the Humber carries a massive volume of silt, which gives the water its characteristic brown color. This constant deposition of sediment creates shifting sandbanks that require frequent dredging to keep the deep water channels open for the massive ships that navigate these busy and vital northern waters. 1. The heart of the nation. Determining the exact geographical center of the country has been a subject of long debate as different mathematical methods yield different results. Historically, the village of Meriden in the West Midlands was considered the traditional center, marked by an ancient stone cross. However, modern mapping by the Ordnance Survey identifies the center as being located on Lindley Hall Farm in Leicestershire. If one includes the islands, the center shifts further north toward the Ribble Valley in Lancashire. Regardless of the specific coordinate, the geography of the heartland is characterized by gentle hills and a crisscrossing network of ancient roads and canals. This central point serves as the symbolic core from which all directions and distances are measured. After discovering these little-known geographical secrets about England, tell us which one did you like best, or which one surprised you the most? Write in the comments and let's see how many of us agree. If you think we've missed something or want to add something, we'd love to hear from you. Your feedback helps us improve each video. And speaking of videos, there's another one playing so you can continue exploring the geography of our beautiful country.